you've been brainstorming, you've been whipping that baby out of your jeans and talking to it, and you've got it, and maybe you've got it playing on the bathroom sink while you're in the shower calling out ideas. So once you've done that, what's the next step for you?
Okay, so really all we've gotten so far is a list of topics. We now have this kind of nebulous idea of the different episodes that we want to have in our series, but we have absolutely zero content whatsoever. So this is where I think people really got hung up. I know this is what stuck me to begin with was, oh my God, what do I say? And one of the hard things I think for people, and it's funny because you are who you are, and I think that, as we're emailing, as we're tweeting, we have no problem being ourselves, but we get in front of a camera and we're like, oh my God, I don't know how to be authentic.
Yes.
So it can be very scary for people. What I like to do after that, once you have your topics, if they make some kind of a logical progression, if you're doing the steps of something, obviously you'd want to put them in order. If they're just random topics, it's fine. Do them in whatever order you're comfortable with. Maybe start with the one that you could, do in your sleep. With my recorder, I just start talking. This can be a little dangerous for me because off-topic happens a lot. But as you just said, nobody is listening to this but you. Sometimes I'll talk all the way to the grocery store, all the way to my client's house, and I'll just sort of let it flow. Once you've done that, and like I said, you can do this on paper too, just start making bullet points if you want to. It doesn't matter what comes into your head. It can be about, something completely different. Maybe you're, doing dog grooming and all of a sudden you want to talk about your favorite flavor of cheese. I don't know, whatever. You just write down whatever comes to mind because who knows, maybe later you're going to do a series on cheese. I like to keep it to about 15 minutes if I can, only because the next step after that is you have to review it. Otherwise, it's sitting in your digital tape recorder in your notebook and doing nothing. So you've got to go back and you've got to either listen to it or look at it. And I like to do that as soon as humanly possible because it's fresh. Right. What tends to happen to me as I'm talking is I get sort of swept up in it. And this can help people so much in finding their voice, which is another thing I think people really struggle with, and B, in actually putting some kind of a script together if they're so inclined, because what you want to do when you're filming is be as natural as you can. Well, here's you just talking to yourself. What's more natural than that?
If they do not have a digital voice recorder, basically everybody has a cell phone. And if they have a cell phone, that means they also have voicemail. So you can also call your voicemail and leave messages that way. So that's also
and here's something I had just thought of earlier today is that, maybe somebody has commute time that they could be using for this purpose, but they feel really stupid sitting there in the, in the subway or in traffic yammering away at this, recorder. Well, who's not sitting there talking into their cell phone?
That's right.
So suddenly it looks like you're having this really, in-depth conversation with somebody on the other end of the line. They don't even know you're talking to yourself.
That's right. So then we've gotten the initial brainstorming done where we've got our major topics and our subtopics. Right. And then what you're saying is you then start, since you're a verbal person anyways, and you talk things through, and you're going to be talking on the video, you actually just start talking about the topic off the top of your head and just out of your own knowledge, and start talking about things as if you were discussing it with someone who had asked you a question. And I think that's brilliant. It's natural. And the beautiful thing is, I know as you're about to share, is that once you are done and you go home and you listen to it and review it, you have a great script, or at the very least a very great outline, where you'll be able to look at it and then start talking about it just as naturally as you did when you were by yourself.
That's it, exactly. When you go back and you listen to this, there are some times, and I find the longer I'm talking, the more warmed up I get to it, and the more the things I'm saying start to make sense. Oftentimes when I first hit that record button, I'm saying little fragments of sentences that mean essentially nothing. It's not until I get warmed up a little bit that I'm really saying something coherent, but sometimes I'll have a turn of phrase or a sentence in it that I'm like, wow, that sounds really good. So when I get home and I'm listening to this, I'm doing two things. I'm making bullet points of the pertinent things that came out of my mouth, ignoring the cheese and the dog growing. And then I'm also writing down verbatim any of those things I said that I really liked or that I felt, made a lot of sense. I'm writing that down word for word so that I can get that in there. I mean, why should I think of something else brilliant to say when I already did the first time? So, don't waste it. It becomes very easy to hear how I want to say these things, to hear what my own voice is. And this makes a lot of people really uncomfortable, me included. I don't like listening to myself. So as you do that, you start to hear what's natural to you, and I think that prevents you from, when you get in front of the camera, trying to be somebody that you're not.
That's all for this excerpt from the Marketing with Audio and Video series. Of course, the Marketing with Audio and Video series is brought to you by the Commercial Creation Center, your one-stop software for novices to create audio and video so you can post it up on the internet on social media and social networking sites. This is Penny Haynes, signing off.